Hey, it's Travis Anderson here again with Keller Williams Realty. Recently, the National Association of Realtors was put under heavy scrutiny over the compensation agreements between buyers and sellers and their agents. And they were a part of a class action lawsuit that took place in Missouri. I do have a previous video about that. Now, we're a couple of months after that situation. So since the settlement, there have been a couple of changes. And to be honest, it's not a surprise. We sort of knew what this was. You can go back and watch that other video, but here are the big changes. First and foremost, for buyers. In the Twin Cities, we have a buyer agency agreement and an agency disclosure form. These are both state forms. And before you can view a home, you're gonna have to review those documents with your agent, and you're gonna have to sign off on something. Before you show a home, before you view a home today in the Twin Cities, your agent is required to review those two documents with you. And then if you choose not to do that, there's another document that you can choose to do. Essentially, you have to be made aware of your options, number one, and you have to choose one of those options before you show a house. And so that's the biggest change for buyers. All of which the compensation is disclosed in a couple of different ways. They're disclosed on what's called a compensation disclosure form. They're disclosed in a buyer agency agreement. They're disclosed in what's called a facilitator agreement. All of these things are options for you as a buyer. And the big change for you, if you want to see a home in the Twin Cities or in Minnesota or even Western Wisconsin, you have to review the documentation with your realtor before you get to see the house. So that's a good change. The second change would be with sellers. Now, the compensation that we disclose in the multiple listing service historically, that a seller might be offering to help bring a buyer in, which would compensate the other realtor, that can no longer be disclosed in the MLS. I think this is actually a bad policy. I think that this limits our ability as agents to be completely transparent. I think it would be better to have the conversations with the buyers and sellers up front and then disclose things in the multiple listing service as we always were. So we're very transparent. So what are we doing in our industry to be transparent is we're putting these things on our website instead of on the multiple listing service. So effectively there's no change. So what's happening for you as sellers? We're having more conversations about commissions. You're choosing how much money, of course, you want to cooperate, if any. And in the event that you don't want to cooperate, the third change is this. In the purchase agreement, the buyer has the right to directly negotiate commissions with the seller. Before this year, that wasn't the case. We were negotiating commissions between buyers and realtors and sellers and realtors. Now the buyer and seller can negotiate commissions directly in a purchase agreement if a seller is unwilling to cooperate with another company. These are the three changes. They're pretty small actually in the grand scheme of things, and in the brightest sense of the thing, the silver lining I would say, is we're talking more about commissions. Consumers are having more conversations with their realtors about how we get paid. They're having more choices. And of course, they're having to sign agreements before they look at real estate. And I think all of these things are good. The one caveat I have is that I think the disclosure is going to come back in the multiple listing service over the next few years. Realtors are still going to be able to sell homes. We're still going to be able to cooperate. There might just be a couple of extra steps for us, and that's okay too. Hey, it's Travis Anderson here with Keller Williams Realty. If you've got questions about the commissions, if you've got questions about our contracts, if you've got questions about real estate investments, real estate buying and selling, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. I'm happy to help.